Good day, everyone. This is ENP Marion Maicatino, and in this paper, I hope to present the state of environmental planning education in the Philippines after the passage of Republic Act 10587. I am a Filipino environmental planner. I passed the board exam in 2018, and I also maintain a website that lists the schools that offer environmental planning programs in the Philippines. I would like to acknowledge on the forefront the Higher Education Research and Policy Reform Program, who gave support for this study. Also, the Facebook group Planning Education in the Philippines, composed of different members of SUCs for planning education, in which I shared my survey form and the representatives of participant higher education institutions who gladly shared their insights for this study. In this paper, I hope to describe the state of environmental planning education in the Philippines after the passage of Republic Act 10587. What is environmental planning? What is our profession? The new environmental planning law refers to environmental planning as the multidisciplinary art and science of analyzing, specifying, clarifying, harmonizing, managing, and regulating the use and development of land and water resources for the development of sustainable communities and ecosystems. In short, we environmental planners plan how unlimited human needs and wants are satisfied by our limited land and water resources through spatial arrangements and also decisions that affect the economic, environmental, and social considerations of different parts of society. In 2013, a new Environmental Planning Act was passed with the aim to develop and nurture competent, virtuous, productive, and well-rounded professional environmental planners whose standards of practice and service shall be, quote, excellent, world-class, and globally competitive. Republic Act 10587 repealed Presidential Decree 1308, which previously regulated the planning profession in the Philippines. Republic Act 10587 covers the following aspects of the environmental planning profession: examination, registration, and licensure, supervision, control, and regulation of the practice of environmental planning, the development, upgrading, and updating of the curriculum of the environmental planning profession, and development and improvement of the professional competence and practice of environmental planners, what is more commonly known as continuing professional development. Why is studying the new law important? It added the requirement of possessing a diploma or degree in environmental planning to qualify for the environmental planning licensure examination. For context, in the previous law, allied professions such as architecture and engineering can take the environmental planning licensure exam. Through the new law, only those who have degrees or postgraduate diplomas in environmental planning can qualify for the environmental planning licensure exam. Also, the law restricted the appointment to planning positions in the government for only registered and licensed environmental planners. This is the reason why some local government officials or planners in the local government units need to get a diploma or degree in environmental planning because they cannot be promoted or even appointed to planning positions without being a registered and licensed environmental planner. Some scoping and limitations of the paper is that it only covers environmental planning education in the Philippines. It comes from the perspective of higher education institutions, and the method I used was an online form interview shared to higher education institutions or their representatives starting September 2022 and responses ending in December 2022 also. 10 HCIs or their representatives responded to the form interviews, which I will refer to as participant HEIs. And this paper is just a thematic analysis of their responses to the form interviews, the successes, the challenges, and the opportunities that they are facing after the passage of RA 10587. Who were my participant HEIs? A total of 10 participant HEIs responded to the form interview. Of these, four have offered qualifying programs before the passage of RA 10587. Three are within the UP system or members or constituent universities of UP, and one does not offer an ENP program but offered a program that previously qualified for the environmental planning licensure exam. To recap, the new environmental planning law required the possession of a diploma or degree in environmental planning to qualify for the environmental planning licensure exam. What happened after RA 10587 was passed? Pre the passage of the law, environmental planning programs were mostly within the University of the Philippines system. Through my research and also references, I found that at least 17 higher education institutions across 9 regions offer courses that qualify for the environmental planning licensure exam in both the undergraduate and graduate levels. The graph shows that most of the HEIs that offer environmental planning programs are located in the NCR, but some are also located in regions 1, 3, 10, and 11. I will go directly into the feedback and insights of participant HEIs. Participant HEIs with pre-existing environmental planning programs expressed increased enrollment after RA 10587. Only one of these four is a private university. The other three HEIs who experienced increased enrollment and offered ENP programs before the passage of RA 10587 are part of the UP system. One SUC even cited that they had to set a quota for enrollments because of faculty workload and administrative concerns. Participant HEIs that offered who started offering ENP programs after the passage of RA 10587 expressed low to no enrollment. Here are some of their quotes in the form interviews. Prospective students fail to understand the job opportunities of an environmental planner, and students struggle to finish the program because of employment commitments. Some of these HEIs offered graduate level programs to qualify for the environmental planning licensure exam, and most of their students were second career professionals, meaning the environmental planning profession is their second career. They were previously engineers or even local planners who needed to obtain a diploma or degree to qualify for the exam and become licensed environmental planners. These students struggled to finish the program because of some employment commitments. Some common challenges identified by participant HEIs were that they lacked full-time faculty members and they had difficulty recruiting full-time faculty members. Secondly, is that they lack equipment, software, and administrative support, specifically cited by one respondent is the lack of GIS software and also uh, the lack of assistance during registration and enrollment procedures. The lack of full-time faculty members was also cited to, quote, hinder implementation and development of programs in their curriculum. Participant HEIs identified some opportunities for their environmental planning programs. Service learning was identified by faculty members to become part of their program and increase the learning experience or enhance the learning experience of their students. The same strategy was also identified by faculty members of the UP Department of Geography as an important component of their curriculum in the study of Sagin et al. In 2022. Second opportunity that was identified by participant HEIs was their alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals. For context, the SDGs are 17 ambitious objectives and targets worldwide to tackle climate change, inequality, just injustice, extreme poverty, and hunger by 2030. Third opportunity that was identified by participant HEIs was to develop programs for other levels and for distance learning. One SUC, for example, shared plans to develop a postgraduate diploma program for their local government planners from their existing Master in Urban Planning program. One SUC also shared plans to offer bachelor's and master's programs in environmental planning. They are currently offering a diploma program in environmental planning. These opportunities show that the new environmental planning law can enhance the environmental planning profession through the help of the higher education institutions that are currently offering them. Through a thematic analysis of the form interviews, I recommend the following for higher education institutions. First is to offer distance learning programs for students who have work commitments. Most of the students that desire to become environmental planners are second career professionals, although a study should validate this fact. Offering distance learning programs for these students, particularly for those who come from low income local government units who are already planners or in planning positions in their local governments, would help not only qualify them for the environmental planning licensure exam, but also help their local government units have licensed and registered environmental planners. Second is to assess the current offerings of some SUCs and HEIs to qualify for the environmental planning licensure exam. For instance, the UP Los Baños has the Bachelor of Science in Human Economics, major in Human Settlements Planning, which qualifies for the Environmental Planning Licensure exam. Third recommendation is that HEIs in the following regions listed on the right should be tapped by PIEP and CHED so that they can develop environmental planning programs for their local environmental for their local government uh, planning positions. These concerned regions are the following: Region 2, Region 4B, Region 6, Region 8, Region 9, Region 13 or the Caraga, and the BARM. In these regions, it is important that both the PIEP, the Accredited Professional Organization of Environmental Planning, and the CHED work together with the HEIs in these regions to develop local based environmental planning programs, not just for accessibility, but also for context. I therefore forward these following conclusions. First, that pre-existing environmental planning programs experienced increases in enrollment versus HEIs that offered ENP programs after the passage of the new ENP law, who experienced low to no enrollment rates. This dichotomy should be validated by the CHED to enable HEIs who are planning to offer environmental planning programs to succeed in terms of enrollment. Also, common challenges in the uh, HEIs that offer environmental planning program are faculty membership and the lack of learning equipment and administrative support. So I end with some of my primary references for future research of those who are interested also in the environmental planning profession. So if you want to access to these resources, please email me at mmrtino@gmail.com so that I can share this with you. Also, some aspects of further research is to have focus group discussions with higher education institutions for knowledge exchange, which can be done through the uh, academic academic sessions during the PIEP National Convention, assessment of similar programs to qualify for the EPLE or the Environmental Planning Licensure exam. Some are some that come to mind are rural development programs and also environmental science programs. Tracer studies for graduates of environmental planning, if they continue towards the environmental planning profession or just get licensed for the sake of getting a license. And a study on the hindrances to recruiting full-time faculty members. It is important that this study be conducted because the environmental planning profession is not only policy oriented but also an academic endeavor. And developing the programs or curricula of the different HEIs that offer environmental planning programs are hindered by the fact that they do not have full-time faculty members. I hope I was able to describe the state of environmental planning education in the Philippines. For your questions, please email me at mmrtino@gmail.com. Again, this is ENP Marian Micatino. Thank you.